I'm Gerry Fischer. My connection to PH is that I'm a father of a wonderful daughter, Maleen, who, by the way, wrote a book that is called Hope Springs Eternal. And she was diagnosed when she was 3. So that's basically what everybody has, the same problem, running around for 3 years and 3 to 4 doctors to get a diagnosis. Moms always know when something is wrong, but nobody believed her. So they called her hysterical, and then they were treating my daughter for asthma and many other things. But when she was 3, we got a diagnosis, PH. In that time it was PPH, primary pulmonary hypertension. That was in 1998. And there was no treatment in Europe for children with PH in that time. So I'm a travel agent, and I had as client a lot of pharmaceutical industry partners, and they sent me to Robin Barst to New York. And Robin Barst put her on IV treatment, and that was 1999. And since then, in Austria, they told me my daughter cannot reach the age of 10, and 2 weeks ago she turned 21. First of all, my wife is 24/7 with my daughter, and it's quite difficult for her to let go now because with 21 it's time, so she moved out. And that was a big thing for my wife. But in that time, Robin Barst told me, give me $10 million and I'll find you a cure. So I wrote to Bill Gates. He never wrote back, unfortunately, but we started to do a charity, a research charity. And in Austria, we have only 8 million people living there, but we managed to get over 10 million in research money. So we have a research center in Austria. And then the guy who ran the PH Association, unfortunately, he passed away a week before he turned 30 years old. And his dad asked me to continue. So that was the point where I took over the PH Association. And then in Europe, especially with the former Eastern countries, even though they are in the European community, we face a big problem of access to treatment. So only 2 hours drive from Vienna, Budapest, Hungary, a friend for my daughter, and in Prague, which is just a little further, they couldn't get the treatment. They were not, just because they didn't have the money to pay for it. And this is really not okay. So that you know that there's treatment out there, but you have no access is really devastating. So we started a patient association in Hungary, in Czech, and so it started to move on, and now it's 39, up to Israel and Turkey and all the union, of course. And we are really super group. So the umbrella association, PHA Europe, is just a very small group of staff with 5 people, not working full-time. And we try to empower the patient associations that are our members in the different countries, because we have to deal with 33 different legislations, different parliaments, and we have to deal with 27 languages. So my problem is I cannot communicate with the Romanians and the Bulgarians because I don't speak their language. Most of the time they don't speak English, so it's really tough. And we overcame this problem. We have fellows. We take mostly medical students that are willing to translate. And this got us quite far. And we are very happy, and we look very much forward to the future extremely. When you hear what's going on here, what's going on in research. So we have 2 messages, and the first message is access to treatment, and the next one is finding a cure. And of course, we're looking for quality of life and early diagnosis. First of all, you have to make the patient aware that it could be something severe when you are out of breath. In my case, if I go up the stairs and I'm out of breath, I know I'm overweight. The next one knows he smokes too much. The third one says, oh, I should go to the gym. But they don't go to the doctor. So if they see that something is wrong, they go to the GP, and the GP is never heard of. So that's where we have to attack. First of all, awareness public to say, hey, if you have to stop in the first floor, please, it could be something severe, and go to the doctor. And then if you go to the GP, he has to be annoyed by us, saying, hey, this is rare, and you do like it's a common disease. But that's the goal we have, so that the GP know where to look in the website and see where the centers are, where are the specialists, and as quick as possible get the patient to the specialist. That's the goal, to shorten the the long waiting time and the running around and not knowing what's going on, and especially the isolation that you face. So you can see it in children. They cannot keep up with others. They cannot go run a bicycle and cannot go swimming with the others, run around, play on the playground, because their lung says no. And then they get out. But also adults, they cannot go mountain biking and dance in a disco, and because they sit in a corner and they don't know why. And mostly they are mistaken by being lazy, by don't want to do it, and you don't see that they are ill. They don't lose their hair, and they are not crawled in pain in the corner. They look quite healthy if they don't move. So this is a big awareness to say, hey, be aware when you have to stop in the first floor because you're out of breath. Think about pH. The proudest thing is that we have seen that we now in Europe have no more white spots, what we call. That means no more countries with no patient association, that we fight for patient rights. That's a really big accomplishment. That we have a research center, even in a small country like Austria, that we went from no treatment to research center to experts, and to see that we come from a deadly disease to a chronic disease. The big thing is fundraising, which is a problem. There's so many fundraisers out there, and you cannot ask everybody to help you, but you have to try. So mostly you get the best fundraising out of if somebody sees a child. They don't care about if I'm ill, but if a child is ill, it's a bit different. And we concentrate on the isolation of the childs. We call them O2 kids. And then we say, my friend says, I'm come to get on a bicycle. My lung says no. And then we went further and we said, okay, what is isolation? How can I show isolation out in space? So we called them the space kids, the O2 space kids, and we created O2 That's the Odyssey in space, and you are my saver, and you can bring the kids out of space back to their families, back to Earth. And that's how we work on maybe having a cool video game that will be called O2 I just want to have a wish to the universe, which is a cure. The biggest threat on this therapy is the therapy itself. I think it's more dangerous than the disease even. So you run into a line infection. The line infection can cause, for example, a problem with the appendix if you still have it. So she had an appendix problem and they overlooked it. So the appendix were bursting, or I don't know in English, but then she had a sepsis and a multi-organ failure, and she was in ICU. She was more dead than alive. And that made her think about, first of all, I hold her hand, and because she's really blessed. And I always tell her, listen, you're invited by Karl Lagerfeld to the Chanel show. You sit in the first row next to Jessica Alba. Justin Timberlake comes to you, and even Marilyn Manson. So that's something, you always have something good. There's not only darkness, I'm ill and so on. There's things other kids, they're not ill, they would not get like you get. And then, so she's a fashionista, as you say, so I holded her hand. She was in coma, and I said, you get that Chanel bag if you really fight for it. When she woke up, she says, I want to write a book. And then she saw me in the back and says, I heard you with a Chanel bag. So she got it and she wrote the book. And it's about her journey. It's very positive. And I think it's very nice for others to see how you cope with your journey and what the thoughts are. And it's especially nice for carers, because the carers get more into what does the person having this disease think about their life. And she turned out to be very positive and very cool, and I learn every day from her. I'm Gerry Fischer, and I'm aware that we are rare.